We want to know what is going here. Ghana is a democratic state. The citizen is allowed to speak freely without any child distraction. You want to know? Give us information. All Ghanaians. We are not in the system. We are all Ghanaians. We are Ghanaians.
Hello, please come back to us. Please come back. Please give us a little space. Thank you. Hello,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, boss.
Ramani Mahama, what wrong? When you find it, Wontumi, what wrong did Wontumi do to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama? We are telling John Mahama that Ghana is a democratic state. Ghana is a democratic state. We have to protect. We have to protect Ghanaians. So he's a Ghanaian. Dramani Mahama, what wrong? When you find it, Wontumi, what wrong did Wontumi do to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama? We are telling John Mahama that Ghana is a democratic state. Ghana is a democratic state. We have to protect. We have to protect Ghanaians. So he's a Ghanaian.
Please.
Hi, Council.
Wait.
Council, wait. John.
Yeah, let's go. We are the top.
Council, please, where's your client?
Wait.
Council, where's your client? Council, where's your client?
My client has been taken to the hospital. He is receiving treatment, so he will be there until the doctor discharges him.
Are you able to tell which hospital they are taking him to?
I know where he is, but I'm not going to disclose the hospital where he is. But all I can say is that my client has been taken to hospital for medical treatment.
Council, you've been in for about 6 hours. What has been happening in there?
We have given our statements. They preferred some allegations against him. He responded to them. We haven't finished with interrogation, so we will come back to continue, hopefully tomorrow if his condition improves. Otherwise, he will stay there until that the doctors discharge him, and then we will come back to continue the interrogation. Nevertheless, we have also received this afternoon a writ of summons from Exim Bank, and we are going to respond to the pleadings tomorrow, and I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to mount a defense of the writ. When we are in court, we will indicate that to the court that this we consider a civil matter, for which reason Exim Bank has issued a writ of summons to us, which we are also responding. So this one of a supposed criminal investigation, I am sure and confident that we will be able to also summon to defense.
Finally, what were the charges that were preferred against him in there?
The charges of yes, the late charges of a relationship between himself and SM Bank and supposed
So now the MPP party members are preventing the chairman, the lawyer, from speaking to the media. They said they are not going to allow any more media interviews. But we're speaking to lawyer Andy Kubi, who tells us that his client, Chairman Wontumi, has been taken to the hospital after taking ill during the EOCO interrogations.
Ramani Mahama, what wrong? When you find it, Wontumi, what wrongs did Wontumi do to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama? We are telling John Mahama that Ghana is a democratic state. Ghana is a democratic state. We have to protect. We have to protect Ghanaians. So he's a Ghanaian. No, why we voted for you? Somebody honors an invitation from the CID, and immediately he steps out with his lawyer. Then he's picked up in such a rumble style. Look, trust me, we are not going to sit down. We are not going to allow this political intimidation, harassment to go on. Trust me. In the coming days, you hear from us.
What are you going to do, Nana?
In the coming days, you will hear from us.
The voice of the people is the
You will hear from us.
But are you going
The fact that you have, no, you see, if you have an overwhelming endorsement from the people, it doesn't mean you need to harass the people.
What kind of life is that?
It doesn't mean you have to harass the people. You invite somebody, the person honors the invitation, and then right afterwards, just at the premises, he's picked up as if he's a common thief. We have said that, yes, we want to cooperate lawfully with any form of investigation. We have said it time and down number that we are going to cooperate. But for the government to subject people to such political harassment, intimidation, we are not going to allow it. We are not.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our job, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
Government is broke, government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, money. Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning Ghana. My name is Awudu Moro. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Good Morning Ghana is also live on 94.1 FM. Let's say a big thanks to the Almighty God for giving us once again a rare privilege of coming back here to join the nation's conversation on the news making rounds here in Ghana. And I'll start by giving you an indication of what we're going to talk about with a front page story. So Daily Graphic this morning is reporting 2 years after EVAT. GR is slow to sign on businesses, low compliance amid revenue leakage. There's a graphic, Ecobank Ghana Economic Forum today. Ministry launches new SHS selection guidelines. Mahama praises margins ID group. The Ghanaian Times, we are ready to crop. Support us with inputs to increase productivity, PFAG. City performance shrinks Ghana's debt by 150 billion cedis, President Mahama. Margins ID group, commended for pioneering role in Ghana card. Daily Guide, my removal probe. A mockery of justice. Tokonu, Mahama endorses Margins Group. Yoko arrest Wontumi. 26 grabbed in Aplao drug busts. No ECG containers missing. Minority. The New Crusading Guide. Wontumi languishes in Yoko cooler. There's also Retraction and Apology, which is about restoring peace, law, and tradition in our win. World Vision Ghana rally support for sufficient food and nutrition for children. KGL's Alexa Paudade honored again at 9th Ghana CEO Summit, testament to purpose-driven innovation, ethical leadership, and impactful stewardship. Albert Jumfor in motion for second-term bid as GJA president files nomination. We don't charge fees for scholarship application, Get Fund. VRA acting CEO Oben Kenzo honored at 2025 CEO Summit. The Insight, Martin Amidu, he says Chief Justice petition by ex-AG unethical and dishonorable. Why we must reclaim African Liberation Day, a call to revolutionary Pan-Africanism, writes Kambale Musavuli. New Shai Osudoku DC vows to prioritize job creation, infrastructure development amid complaints of deplorable road network. Extraction Accountability Project accuses small-scale miner secretary of engaging in irresponsible mining activities. There's MPP's Chairman Wontumi arrested and detained by Yoko. There's Registrar of GARHC in fresh trouble as the leaked document exposes role in English crisis. The Inquisitor. In-person appearance at OSP, 5 days for Ken, or he will be declared wanted again. And it comes to the picture of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and that of Kissie Jabin, who's a special prosecutor. Brian is arrogant and fit for presidency. Eshiama. Not a bit early. But anyway, it's understandable. Dr. Santi relishes African Energy College. Alex Dade is Ghana's best CEO for the third time. Third edition of Ufie Market held. And then the Herald newspaper. Mambo's lack of continental routes raise red flag over AFDB bid. There's $5 million military uniform contract scandal hits Burma camp. Bamia Aid reveals dirty details of ex-Ghana embassy IT staff in US. There's $10,000 monthly bribery, website cloning, private firms, others. Chairman Wontumi falls sick during Yoko interrogation. Gold board member linked to illegal mining practices. Well, that's serious, very serious. The Daily Statesman, KGL boss named CEO of the Year 2024. Akomia takes on STC boss over fruitless propaganda. Let's not become rubber stamp. Minority cautions Parliament against failing the masses. MPP's late chairman, Kuting, goes home Saturday. Edubuahene has not requested plea bargain. The Ghanaian publisher, President Mahama endorses Margins ID Group, and as KGL boss grabs CEO of the Year again, use technology to enforce tax laws, experts advise government. Washington embassy closure, minority slums a Blackwest infantile decision. Dr. Santi pushes for African Energy College. The Accra Times, Bagbin cautions MPs do not mistake privileges for impunity. Ayarga salutes heads of committees, tasked them to submit detailed reports on their research activities. Minority calls on Ghanaians muster courage to challenge constitutional infractions. The Custodian, man's inhumanity to woman. Tokonu labels Puaman Committee mockery of justice. Mahama endorses Margins ID Group. There's Dr. China rejects Japan's proposal for NPP flag bearer elections. KGL boss Alex Dade grabs Excellence Award again. Ablekuma North Assembly members in court to stop sham MCE. African needs energy college to link academia to industry. Ben Asante. The Daily Post. Time for change to adopt bold energy strategies. Energy Minister. AG opposes suspended CJ's bid to halt ongoing removal proceedings. Wontumi takes cover in the hospital after arrest and interrogation by Yoko. There's TEEB alleges irresponsible mining by Nassim, which is GNA SSMM secretary. Well, that's it for the front pages of the newspapers we have received this morning. We'll be back shortly. My guest already seated.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
Me didn't tum. Mr. Friend, Calico, just call me cockroach.
Now, Mr. Friend, me once now.
Hey, that's you. Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the action. Me didn't sasso spray. Mr. Friend is sasso quell. Yeah, go to my sasso.
Come tum preko.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
I'm a branch manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Mommy.
Michelle, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
MGL Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered. General trading is at the heart of our expertise. We specialize in a wide range of products, catering to various industries and markets. As a trusted dealership in building materials, we provide high-quality products that meet the demands of our construction projects. Additionally, we act as manufacturers' representatives, connecting producers with distributors. Our expertise in logistics is the backbone of our operations. We plan and execute transportation and delivery of goods, ensuring they reach their destination on time and in optimal condition. MGO Logistics and Supply, guaranteed satisfaction.
Cratchy, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ban uye denwa.
Oh, Mr. Yamfan come and me buru.
Mami do buru. Ni atele be ko bra. Mumi yamfan ko Dr. Ban ho. Dr. Ban no ya de. Bra, se ban no mpemu adwuma sasabro slow Dr. Ban oye.
So ni kemi kwa na meka. Oh, no mpemu ni mdi ono na ye expect nya zanfo no. O akra eni kumasi no mpemu expect yen kan kire.
Did you know you can make money every day on the Wontumi game app? Here's how to play and win. Watch Wontumi on Entertainment Review every Monday, Wednesday and Friday on Metro TV. Scan the code for access, select a game and play away. There's money to make on Wontumi. What are you waiting for? Wontumi, more money every day. Endorsed and accredited by NLA.
Buy affordable service plots and lands from estate masters. Currently selling our next cottage, located at the newly proposed airport city, with a starting price of 25,000 Ghana cedis. We also have Palm Hills, located at Panfukro in the Gomwa East District, also with a starting price of 15,000 Ghana cedis. Available also is Coastal Park in Lakleku, which is a 15-minute drive from the Nigo Senior High School, having a starting price of 55,000 Ghana cedis. You will receive a free site plan with indenture once you successfully purchase a land from us. For any enquiries, contact the numbers provided. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
Join the president of EBID and other leading development experts live on June 3rd, 2025 from 11 a.m. GMT on Metro TV Ghana, DSTV Channel 277 and EBID's digital platforms for the President's Roundtable on Unlocking Food Security in West Africa through Agricultural Transformation. Having financed over $113 million in agriculture and agribusiness projects and programs to build resilient food systems across the ECOWAS sub-region, EBID has prioritized tackling food insecurity in the sub-region in its Strategy 2025 with the aim of assisting member states to attain SDG 2 and SDG 3. Dr. George Ejekum Donko, President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of EBID, will be joined by leading development experts to discuss and share their collective experiences and perspectives on addressing food security challenges in West Africa, as well as finding innovative ways to ensure food resilience in the region. ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, EBID, transforming ECOWAS communities.
You're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television, and thank you very much for your time. We truly appreciate it. Let me just say that we've been joined this morning by two very distinguished personalities. In fact, one of them is a regular on Wednesdays. I'm sure that you know who I'm talking about. The managing editor of the Insight newspaper. That's Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning Ghana. It's always a pleasure having you. And also, Honorable Isaac Boama Nyako actually is a member of parliament for the Ifia constituency. The other day you taught me how to pronounce it. I hope I got it correct.
Yeah, go right this time.
Yeah, it's Ifia constituency. And thank you so very much for joining us. How are you? How's the constituency? I like to always find out how the constituency is doing because I know that as MPs, you spend a lot of time, with your constituents. I hope they're doing well.
Yeah, they are doing very well. A good morning to them and to your viewers. I returned on Monday from the constituency to prepare for parliamentary duties yesterday. And over the past couple of weeks, back to them, engaging them at community levels, trying to fix some of the problems that they face. Last weekend, I had one of our football teams, Best Paradise, playing a game in Takwa for the Division 2 Middle League Finals, 2 Division 1. Unfortunately, we lost by a goal to nil. But I think the talent that were exhibited on the day and tells us that we have a huge potential when it comes to football in this country. And so it's something that I'm looking at seriously to engage stakeholders and see how best we can tap those talents that we see in the constituency. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now that the constituents are, I'm happy to hear that your constituents are okay and everything is on course. Let's look at the Ghana constituency. What's happening here? Now, if you look at today's daily guide, there's quite a number of issues we want to look at. But let's start with this. Let's Big Paradise Sporting Club, is that it?
Yes, Best Paradise, yes.
Ah.
Exactly.
Okay. You own this?
But they are like a very huge footballing club in the constituency.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they need the support to get to the highest level.
Do you have have you constructed some astroturfs in your constituency yet?
We had 2 already constructed. Okay. One is functioning, one is spoiled. Okay. And so I'm in talks with the...
Robert Coleman?
No.
Okay.
That's at Western Ukrum area. Okay. It was built for us by the Takrade Mall as part of their corporate social responsibility. Okay. But unfortunately, it has completely gotten bad. So I'm engaging them for us to look at it again and do reconstruct. We have a 3rd one under construction by GNPC. But after the change of government, it has halted a bit. So I'm also engaging the management of GNPC Foundation to see how best that project can be continued.
That's fine. One of the things that I've always gone against grooming, for football talents for the future has to do with age cheating. I don't know to what extent you've taken that personally to make sure that you're recruiting the right age.
Yeah, this time, once you have more than enough talent, cheating in terms of age becomes minimal. Okay. Because you have it from the very young age. If you come to the constituency from 6 years...
So this is what, juveniles players? These are children under, perhaps under 10?
Yes, we have from 10 up to under 14.
And this is genuine 10?
Genuine 10. If you go and you see the players and the way it's part of them, right from the word go. And you see the way they built, and most of them who were unsuccessful, the players, they've turned into minor coaches. So you have every community having someone who has had some level of football experience up to Division 1, Division 2, trying to unearth those talents at their level. So when you come to the court and they know themselves, this is community game. So you can't bring someone from outside to come and cheat and say you are 14 when you're actually 17 or 18.
18 or 21.
So, it was amazing to see at the Division 2, Division 1 level, the youngsters who were playing at that high level. And I think it's important we go back. And the benefit is so huge. We have one of our players, Bernard Morrison, who had the opportunity to play outside the country. When you see his contribution back to the community in terms of assisting other young players and also contributing to the socio-economic development of the community, building of boreholes to support his area where he comes from. It tells you that if we have more of our people improving or getting into this high level, they have their own way of also contributing significantly to the development of the constituency and also the entire region, as we find.
I see. You know, we're not really in a good place when it comes to Ghana football. And so I hope that these things work out well in order to contribute or to supply what I call personnel to the national teams. You know, just recently the under-21 were kicked out of an international tournament, and Ghanaians are not happy at all. We've not been doing well when it comes to juvenile football for a very long time. You know, so we're just hoping that these things would help fix that problem. I don't know whether, Chris, you have any quick thoughts you want to share on this rather positive development in these constituencies where they are looking for talent, young, from 10 upwards, and training them and hopefully, you know, feeding them onto the national teams.
Well, my comments are not really substantial. I mean, football. Now, for those who invest in football, they invest in football largely for profit.
Right.
It's the new slave trading. New slave trades. Invest in football, groom these young chaps, and sell them for profit.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's one angle of football which I find most uncomforting. Okay. Now, if you look at that angle of football, I mean, the moment a young lad is able to dribble 2, 3 and score a couple of goals, they say he's fit for the foreign market.
True.
And that has contributed to the deterioration of standards in local football and so on. I mean, the days when we had Wilberforce in Fum, Agrafin, you know, Osei Kofi and others, it's over. I mean, VC10 and so on, it's over. These were people, I mean, someone like Reverend Osei Kofi, who actually resisted offers to play outside because he felt that he had a commitment to put his country on the international map of football. So no matter how much he was offered, he refused and stuck to, you know, playing football for Kotoko at some time and then for the Black Stars at some time and so on. So those of us who supported football at that time had a reason, good reason to support football. Because the players were playing for us. They were not playing for money, they were playing for us. You know, they were making strenuous efforts to lift high the flag of Ghana and so on. I recall, I mean, the Republican Football Club.
That's Reverend Osei Kofi, that's him in your shot.
Yes, yes. You know, the Republican Football Club, the Republicans was actually a state club. That was Osajifu's own club.
Yeah.
You understand? And in those days, good players were absorbed, okay? I mean, most of footballers were staying in estate houses built by the Nkrumah government and so on. And football was fun. So now, you tune into radio or television, and it's horrifying. I can't listen to sports on radio anymore. Because it's all about, you know, Man United, it's all about Chelsea and so on. And our sports presenters feel that it is hip.
Oh, yeah.
They think that it is hip to know about Chelsea and Man United and so on, and not know anything about Boafakwa or Hasselfolk and so on. Why? If the people in Europe
yes,
and so on had behaved the way our sports presenters behave in Ghana, their football would not have developed to that level.
Yeah.
So there's no commitment to developing local talent for the local industry. There's no commitment to using football as a political tool.
Okay.
There's no commitment to developing football as a means of raising us from the levels of poverty and deprivation that we have now. It has become private capital motivated, you know. It's about making profit and nothing more. And, you know, there's no sense of patriotism and nationalism in our sports, in our football especially. And because of that, I like to stay away.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to get involved in this.
Yeah. I think Uncle Kwesi has raised some very, very important points, and it's very critical that we go back to those days and relook at how far we've fallen from the days of past. You see, when we were all growing up and we had the opportunity of following football, if you have any match at all, whether it is Kotoko versus Bofakwa, interest that people had, and the way people would fill up the stadium, and the quality of play that existed, you can't now talk about it same way now. And as he indicated, you have it being turned for commercial purposes. But the difficulty is that you need to invest.
Yeah.
You know, when you engage, when I had the opportunity of watching this game in Takwa, even as someone who is sitting back and going to support them, the financial contribution that goes into it. So in managing these players over a period of time and not even paying them what is due or worth.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you see one or two talents. The biggest thing you want to do is to sell them off and make some capital out of it, to either reinvest or to cover some of your costs.
Okay.
So the conversation should be looked at. In what way is the sports authority fashioning out a regime whereby there are some collaboration with some stakeholders, business community, so that if someone wants to support sports from a business point of view, how would a person benefit in the areas of maybe tax reliefs or something, so that it makes sense for someone to push some resources to football if he has an interest. If you come to tennis and all, now people are playing tennis for only social purposes. All the Francophories and the rest is past. We can't even go to African Zone 2. And but everybody is playing tennis. And all those playing tennis are playing it for social purposes. Yet we have so much talent also at the tennis front, and nobody is looking at that. And you go to this ATP and Grand Slams, and you have new people always come. Alcaraz now just won his Grand Slam at the age of 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think our sports authority should be up and doing in terms of looking at how best to develop sports in general. And our infrastructure as well. We should have another look at it.
Okay. If we truly want to develop sports, we should go back to the concept that was introduced by Dr. Akperi. I don't know if you ever heard about him. Dr. Akperi, who used to work for the National Sports Council. It was him who introduced this concept of sports for all. You know, and if you read his book on sports for all and so on, sports is not just about making money. It's about promoting the health of the nation. You understand? Everybody in the country, old, young, and so on, ought to engage in some kind of sports as a health promotion measure. Beyond promoting health, sports is also a tool for social cohesion and so on. So you have to look at sports in its whole frame. If you reduce sports to an activity that puts money in the hands of in the pockets of a few people, you decimate it. You destroy sports. You understand?
Right.
So we need to think about sports all over again.
Yeah.
You know, since we started selling players and so on, our football has deteriorated. It hasn't improved.
True.
You know, our sport is deteriorating so fast. I mean, I remember the days of Ethel Jackson. You remember her? Table tennis queen. You know, we're doing exceptionally well in table tennis. Even under Champo, we did very well in lawn tennis. You know, in athletics, we were doing very well in athletics and so on. Now everything is going down because everything is about how to put money in somebody's pocket. And you see, even if the money, what goes into the pockets of agents and so-called managers and so on, it's worrying.
Yeah.
You understand? It's worrying.
Well, I mean, the current
I mean,
generation...
if you take a country like Cuba, nobody would doubt that Cuba is one of the best boxing nations in the world. Nobody, there's no doubt. In fact, even during the reign of Muhammad Ali, it was believed that there was a Cuban heavyweight who could beat Muhammad Ali. But he refused to fight Muhammad Ali because it was commercial and so on. Cuba has always run its sports, you know, as non-profit to promote political and social ends, to promote tourism in Cuba and so on. And Cuba has done so very well, at least for boxing. There are important lessons to learn. You understand? But
anyway, I mean, it's a conversation we can spend the whole day having. Yeah. It's important as it is, but we'll find that day. But Charlie, this is Ghana, and you only get to see if you're sure of, if you're not sure of what you are buying, or you don't really know the market. So when it comes to water storage tanks, the name we all know is Polytank. It has been with us for over 30 years and has been trusted by all these generations. So make no mistake, always choose Polytank for guaranteed quality. It's available at the same price across the country at Polytank partner shops. So be it Rambo, Hippo, Sumo, or Super Sumo, durability is always assured. Polytank, the original, always the best. Papano and Casa, I'm talking about Polytank. Now, Polytank does not request for Momo payment online, so please beware. Now, Robert Coleman has sort of jumped into this conversation we're having about how we can groom and better restructure our sports in ways that benefits us and not just some individual businessmen and businesswomen. And but first of all, he said I should tell you that he's ready to help you develop another quality AstroTurf in your constituency. Yes, like what he has done in Sunyani and Techiman.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank
so,
you.
And he's actually sent me some pictures of some other ones he's done for some of your colleagues.
Very well.
So he says he's ready to partner you to do something great for your constituent, your people.
Thank you.
And he goes on to say, Uncle Kwesi is right. Sports goes beyond money making. It's about the health and social cohesion of the people. That's coming from Robert Coleman of Wembley. Is it Wembley Company Limited? I say Wembley Company Limited. Yes. So Robert, he says he's taking notice of that. I'm sure he would get in touch, and then you guys would we'll talk and take it from there. So
one of the interesting things about Robert is that he never misses this program.
No, he doesn't.
You know,
he doesn't.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the Good Morning Ghana show has been always
for
become
somebody
like a part
like
of his
him
lifestyle.
To find time
every day,
you know, to watch the program.
Unless he's out of town, and the time difference is a problem. But otherwise, he's always tuned in. A very, very loyal and ardent follower of the show. Robert, thanks for your loyalty and commitment and support to this program. Anyway, so a lot is happening, and I want to start with this Washington Embassy matter, the Washington Embassy closure, which the Foreign Affairs Minister took a decision on based on some, alleged corrupt activities that are taking place. Now, if you look at today's Ghanaian publisher, it says that the Member of Parliament for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Yabuama, has slammed Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa for what he calls a tactless decision to abruptly shut down Ghana's embassy in Washington, D.C. for allegations of corruption. Honorable Obama, speaking in an exclusive interview at his office, said, while rooting out rot within the Foreign Service is necessary, the manner in which the closure was handled has harmed Ghana's international image. He's expressing dismay over the public announcement by the Foreign Affairs Minister on social media, stating that the decision lacked diplomatic prudence. What the minister has done has put Ghana's name in a certain way on the diplomatic arena. To shut down a whole mission in the center of America because of alleged visa issues is like killing the ant with a sledgehammer. Patrick Obama said he urged the minister to immediately reopen the embassy and allow investigations to proceed without interrupting services. Reopen the mission, deploy interim staff, and continue operations. What if none of the officers are even guilty? You don't tarnish everyone's reputation over an allegation. The Kaikwe Central legislator emphasized the importance of discretion in diplomatic affairs, citing historical precedents. This is not the first time issues have happened at missions abroad, but diplomacy requires tact. You don't wash your dirty linen at the embassy gates. He warned that visa applicants, investors, and members of the diaspora were now left stranded due to the abrupt closure, and cautioned people with appointments, business engagements, and family matters are now in limbo. Diplomacy is about solving problems quietly, not broadcasting crisis. Speaking on the alleged missing electricity company of Ghana containers, that's a separate matter. But there is, that should be, I haven't seen that being captured in any of the papers today, but we do know there have been some developments. A new set of, diplomatic, a new set of diplomats have been shipped to Washington to replace those who have been sacked, and I'm sure you have that information as well. I'll read that. There's actually a whole statement which was issued by the ministry, and I'm sure that if we have it, Annie will put it up for us to read it. But here we are. Patrick. Isaac, sorry.
Because he just read from Patrick.
Yes.
And we are all young boys.
You see, yes. So your colleague is not happy.
Not just him, but I think Ghanaians generally are not happy with the conduct of the Minister for Foreign Affairs in this regard. Of course, as a minister, you have the right to take certain decisions, but you always have to look at the overall interest of the state vis-a-vis what is necessitating that action, and then come to a conclusion whether that is the best decision for the country. In fact, the allegation that is before us is about one officer known who had been involved in this kind of activity, criminal activity, over some couple of years. It is believed that there should be some collaborators within the embassy who have been supporting such criminal actions. Now, the ministry, having gotten hints of it, and my indication or my information suggests that this issue had been brought up some years back. Investigations had gone on, certain findings had come out of it. And so if the minister is seized with extra information and he wants to take action, I think the right way would have been to conduct further investigations, take some immediate steps of withdrawing those he think may be connected or involved in those exercises, and then replace them and allow the embassy to run, so that at the end of the day, when thorough investigation is conducted, those who are found culpable could be prosecuted under the laws of this country.
But before you go ahead, Kofi Tonto?
Yes.
He used to work.
Kofi used to work.
Yes. Now, Kofi Tonto has actually said a bit more to what has been uncovered by the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Now, if you look at today's Herald, and I just want to add this to your
that's fine.
to you so that you can put all of that together. Now, Kofi Tonto says, he's a former head of the Information and Public Affairs at the Ghanaian Embassy in Washington, D.C. Sorry, this is in the Herald. The other one's in the Publisher. Now, it says that regarding the dismissal of the local embassy staff member, Fred Kwarteng, over allegations of corruption linked to the embassy's temporary closure, he rubbished claims that the Foreign Ministry was unaware of his corrupt activities, as stated by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Samolokujeto Ablakwa. So, what he's saying under Shelia Yokobotri, not as in her, but under her tenure, they were aware. He said he revealed more about Fred Kwarteng's corrupt activities at the Ghana Embassy in the U.S., saying, the Washington Embassy staff, Fred Kwarteng, is a bad boy. I personally investigated him several times, and he even attempted to bribe me. Tonto, a political aide to ex-vice president, ex-vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, further disclosed that Kwarteng admitted to his misconduct when confronted following the investigation, but offered him a monthly bribe of $10,000 to shut up. And it says Fred Kwarteng also revealed to Tonto that other embassy officers were involved in illegal fees matters and other corrupt conduct. Now, in support of a statement made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs on May 26, 2025, Kofi Tonto disclosed that he personally launched an investigation into Fred Kwarteng's activities after receiving reports that Kwarteng had established a private company outside the embassy to offer mailing services and was charging clients unapproved fees. He's a bad boy. I personally investigated it because he had established his own company. It goes on and on. And I said, Tonto mentioned one Angeline Addy, an embassy staff member, as someone who fought spiritedly with him to dismantle Kwarteng's corrupt activities. Angelina Addy fought with her life. She had been at the embassy for 20-something years and understood the system. He added that despite his admission, Kwarteng had attempted to offer him $10,000 in exchange for his silence, while also revealing that he had accomplices involved in the alleged practices, some of whom held positions of higher authority. After my investigations, he admitted to the illegality. He later engaged me in a conversation and told me that he had accomplices who held higher authority than he did, and further went on to say I was wasting my time to investigate him. So he was sharing the loot, allegedly, with some people at the top. So he was emboldened. Tonto continued saying, he offered me money in exchange for me to stay silent and overlook what was happening. I'm talking about Fred Kwarteng. He told me bluntly that the report I had filed directed to the ambassador would not yield any results and would be thrown out. Hey, Tonto, a political aide, a member of the MPP, also recounted another incident in which the individual cloned the embassy's official website and used it to charge illegal fees. And he offered me $10,000 again. He's talked about that again. Wow.
So
this is serious, eh?
Yeah, but I'm surprised my good brother Kofi personally investigated.
Why is he saying it now?
You had given him all of this, and he was still working. You said you had reported to the head of the embassy.
Yeah.
Did they take it up at the Foreign Affairs Ministry?
Clearly they did.
Why was the guy not taken out and prosecuted? So these are some of the things when you hear, it doesn't speak well of us. And it's very, very, very disappointing because the person is only a staff of an embassy. Even if it's the ambassador who is involved in it, you need to recall the ambassador and punish him.
Right.
So you can't have one officer who may have some political affiliation. I don't know of the Kwarteng guy. I've never heard of him within the corridors of my political space. So I don't know which people he was connected with that made it impossible or difficult for him to be taken out and prosecuted. So clearly, Kofi is buttressing the criminal act of that gentleman. But I am disappointed that no clear action was taken during the time that we were in power to cleanse the system and make sure that people are brought to justice. And now a new government comes into play, then they have to take this action, and now the embassy has to suffer. So let me just move on to the actions of the Minister for Foreign Affairs. But as I said, for no action being done under the past administration, knowing that this had happened, it's not good enough. But then, so once it has come to the attention of the minister, as I indicated, the minister has to take certain actions. But it is the action that he has taken which we are trying to view whether it was considerate to the overall interest and image of the country. I think no, because the Washington, D.C. consulate is a very, very important part of Ghana's diplomatic missions in the world. And then the services that the embassy renders goes beyond visa services. We have intelligence officers there who are supposed to pick information and brief the government of Ghana. You have students there who require mission services. You have government officials who go to Washington here and there to conduct businesses that require the embassy's support and assistance. So if you take the overall work and functions of the embassy, there's no way you can tell me that one criminal line which is under investigation and at least we've been able to pick him up cannot allow the embassy to run, but then to shut entirely the embassy. So I think it's a sign of some immaturity in terms of diplomatic stance by the Foreign Affairs Minister. And so if you look at the follow-up yesterday, I read that he has asked the embassy to be reopened.
Yes, on Thursday. That's tomorrow.
To be reopened tomorrow for work. So the question was, why did he even close it down in the first place? Why would he put the entire country in such a bad light? And the reality is that it is not only in Ghana mission that these things happen. I have been an officer at GRE where I was in charge of diplomatic missions. And there's the crime.
You mean the rot?
The rot in foreign missions in Ghana here. Where those days we were granting what we call VRPO, virtually purchase orders for diplomatic. Diplomats are not supposed to pay tax. And one way of relieving them was the issuance of VRPO. and you had foreign diplomats in big embassies in Ghana here who abused it, something meant for the official use of the embassy, they abused it for personal gain. We reported it to the embassy took actions on the quiet, those people were sent back to their countries. So it is no news for you to find mission officers conducting some actions or inactions that are inappropriate. But you need to manage it from within. After you've done all of that, then you can bring the person down and then take all the actions that you need to do. So I think he's still in a learning process, but Ghana is not a learning curve for him. We've come very far in terms of our diplomatic work, and I believe the minister should be guided. And this issue of going to Facebook and social media every now and then to be making such a trans, I think it's very undiplomatic on the part of the minister. And the president has to check it and call him to order. The head of foreign affairs is our #1 diplomat. And so you expect some highest level of diplomacy from him in terms of conduct, in terms of statements, in terms of utterances. And I think this issue, it's more like he's still playing everything politics. It's more like doing things just for the populism purposes. But I think we've come very far as a country. Mahama is a serious president trying to conduct his business. Ghanaians have high hopes and expectations of this government. And so this tangent that the Foreign Affairs Minister is going ought to be checked. But I commend the authorities for taking the action in terms of recalling and trying to bring discipline, not only in the Washington. Okay. I suspect that you may have some of these things happening in other missions. And so it is important that we open up our auditing and investigations. And I'm surprised the Auditor General didn't uncover these things, because every year they audit the diplomats or the missions. And for Kofi to say this and for it not to have reflected, is it that those accounts people to have been bribed? Because Kofi was being offered $10,000 a month.
$10 a month, yeah.
So it wouldn't be surprising that somebody might have gone to conduct an audit and be bribed. So we need to go deeper and even review some of the audits that has been conducted in the U.S. and Washington, D.C. embassy, so that we can clear the entire system of search. Yeah. It's disgracing for us as a country that we subject our missions into such.
And I like the point you made about the fact that this development calls into question the quality of the kind of auditing that we do. You know, to think that such a thing was happening and the Auditor General's office couldn't, uncover it. But Uncle, before you come in, let me just read this so that, it puts everything in its proper perspective. Now, Ghana's Foreign Affairs Ministry Tuesday announced, which was yesterday, that the country's embassy in Washington, D.C. will reopen on Thursday after a temporary closure. The announcement came after Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa ordered the closure on Monday to allow for investigations into alleged corrupt practices of the mission. A team of astute diplomats from the Foreign Ministry has been dispatched to the embassy to ensure a total system overhaul and to restore credibility to the embassy's operations and complete ongoing structural reform, the statement adds. According to the ministry, a special audit team found that a local staffer in the embassy's IT department created an unauthorized link on the embassy's website, which advertised visa and passport applications to applicants to his company, where he charged extra for multiple services on the blind side of the ministry and kept the entire proceeds in his private account. And an IT team has already been deployed to reconfigure the website and also payment platforms to do away with the unofficial and unauthorized links associated with the IT system of the embassy, the statement add. Ogozi.
Well, first of all, I think one has to make the point that His Excellency Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa has earned a huge reputation as an anti-corruption campaigner. There's no doubt at all about that.
Right.
You understand? But somehow, unfortunately, in the reassignment of duties and so on, President Mahama did not take him to the CID or to Yoko or any of those places. He put him in foreign affairs. Foreign affairs necessarily requires a new set, of skills and so on, you know. Now, having said that, I think the point also has to be made that many diplomatic missions have had problems. You know, many, not just Ghanaian diplomatic missions, many. A couple of years ago, I think about 2 years ago or so, South Africa suspended the issuance of visas from their High Commission here. No noise was made about it. I mean, you just notice, for those of us who travel to South Africa a lot, you just notice that the process had become very slow. I mean, it was unexplained. It took a long time for us to realize that there were some problems relating to the issuance of visas from the South African High Commission here. They kept it under wraps. Not just that, I have known that at least on one occasion, a British diplomat had been recalled from Ghana because of conduct which the appointing authorities thought was unbecoming of a diplomat. But it was done so quietly.
Yeah.
So several missions here and elsewhere have had problems. But then it has been dealt with very quietly. There must be a reason for that. And it seems to me that the reason for that is that given the role of embassies and high commissions, it is important that they come out in a certain decorous frame. You understand? Yesterday something happened and I was a bit alarmed. You had media houses open phone lines and invite Ghanaians everywhere to make statements about the quality of services they are getting from their embassies and so on. And I'm sure you probably saw some of them.
Yeah.
And it was horrifying. The kinds of things Ghanaian citizens outside were saying about their own missions. The mission in Germany came under attack. The mission in Spain was torn to shreds, you know, and so on. I want to believe that these Ghanaians who are calling into this, the effect of that on our ability to represent the country, if we create the impression that our high commissions and embassies are a dens of crooks and highwaymen and women, we do irreparable damage to their capacity to represent us properly. You understand? So I would urge that when it comes to such things, the minister was right in seeking to take corrective action. Nobody can quarrel with His Excellency Okudzato Abrakwa for taking measures to curb corruption in one particular embassy or embassies and so on. That's his duty. He's supposed to do that. My problem is, do we do it, you know, with this level of media attention and so on? What is it intended to do? You know, so that's one of the issues. Now, for me, from what the gentleman who used to work in the embassy has written,
Kofi
Tonto has written, it's obvious that these matters came to the notice of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yes, according to him.
Long before Mr. Okudzato Abrakwa assumed office. Long before President Mahama became president for the second time and so on. Why was this gentleman not dealt with? Why did he still remain in office and carry on this activity, which to all intents and purposes is illegitimate and illegal? That's a huge question. Ministry who shielded him for all this time, given the fact that it was known that he was doing this. I mean, I'm worried. Yeah. You know, I'm seriously worried about the fact that this is the situation. You understand? Then there's an important point which you have raised, and that is, what is the quality of our auditing? What's the quality of our auditing? Because the story is that he's the IT expert in the embassy, that he has managed to create a link, you know, which is personal for him.
Yeah.
So applicants for passports and other services actually end up with him.
Yeah.
And he charges them illegal fees, and then eventually the passports are issued and so on. Now, if you just audit the payment systems in the embassy, this should come out.
Easily.
So who has been doing the auditing of the embassy? And how was the auditing done? That's another issue. You understand? So it may appear to be a simple matter of fighting corruption and so on, but I think that there are many other dimensions to this
It's
issue.
a whole syndicate.
Yes. Now we are being told that some extraordinary diplomats are being sent to Washington. I mean, you read the description, of the diplomats who are going there to rectify the situation and so on. Well, it's interesting, but I'm again just wondering, because we hear from one of the newspaper reports, especially the report in Herald, that there were members of staff of the embassy who saw this and fought it, and actually sent reports to Accra.
Yes.
These are honest men and women who wanted the right thing to be done. Now, how come that in the remedial action that we took, all of them, including the people who fought this system, who perhaps even exposed this system, were affected? There's a problem there.
Yeah.
There's some problem there, and so on. But let me make my final remark.
And what does this even mean for our fight against corruption?
Exactly.
If I'm going to expose somebody and I lose my job at the end of the day, no matter what, just keep quiet.
Well, they haven't lost their jobs; they were suspended. You understand? So they still have.
But obviously, they won't be happy they have been brought to Accra. Of course, they won't be sacked. But once they've been asked to leave the embassy and come to Ghana,
but they haven't been sacked. But there is something that probably escapes our attention. All of our ministers are addressed as honorables.
Yes.
You know that?
Yes.
Including the defense minister, minister of finance and so on.
Yes.
The foreign minister is an exception.
True. His Excellency.
The foreign minister is addressed the same way the president is addressed. That should tell you something.
Yeah.
That should tell you that the foreign minister is in a special category. You understand? That's our foreign image. That's everything foreign is about him. Our negotiations with other countries, our solidarity with other countries, the definition of our foreign policy lines, and so on. It's all about the Minister for Foreign Affairs. And therefore, given what I know about the conduct of foreign policy and so on, sometimes I'm a bit reluctant to discuss the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm a bit reluctant. I'm also reluctant because he said it. Perhaps I wouldn't have said it from the beginning. That's also our nerve center for foreign intelligence gathering. True.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
It's our nerve center for foreign intelligence gathering. So the foreign minister is not just presiding over exchanges of pleasantries and so on. The foreign minister is key in our intelligence gathering efforts and so on. So next time, maybe we can do it better than we've done this time. I don't want to go into all the...
Somebody was asking, in the last few days, the embassy was closed. So if there's a public official in America who wants to visit Ghana, the person would have to postpone it.
Yes.
Because the embassy is not working.
Not just that. What if you have a health emergency?
Yes.
And there are many other emergencies that you could have.
Yeah.
So embassies are very crucial.
Because the embassy is Ghana in America.
Exactly.
And when people have a problem, they go and seek refuge there. So if there's a problem, where do the people go to?
But the good news is that, this closure of the embassy has not lasted too long.
Yes.
It's lasted
But
only
it could be due to the public backlash.
Yeah, it was
because when I read the statement which was issued by the Foreign Affairs Minister, which he put up on Facebook, the impression I got was that this was going to last for a while.
Yes.
For some thorough investigations to take place, for us to unearth exactly what happened and so on, before new personnel is deployed to Washington. But you notice after a few, in fact, just 24 hours after this statement came and said on Thursday, the embassy is going to open. I suspect maybe due to the backlash.
Yes, and then there's also something that I think is important to draw attention to. And this happens in all disciplined institutions.
Yeah.
You know. You don't draw the leader into controversies from the very beginning. You understand? So the leader must be kept aside when such things are happening. Is the last line. Okay. So when things happen at a certain level, way below the leader, and ministers issue statements that, oh, I did this in consultation with the head of state and so on, there's a problem. You lock the head of state in, he has no route of escape, and so on. It shouldn't happen. You know, it shouldn't happen.
And that is part of
the head of state is the last person to fall.
Yes.
You, the minister, take responsibility. I mean, what value is added by claiming
that I consulted the president?
That the president is part of it.
Yeah. He's involved
in that. The president from the very beginning has been roped in, and it doesn't sound well.
Yes, but just a quick.
Even when presidents make mistakes, they are the last to take the fall.
Yeah.
You know, and it's for good reason and good measure. You know. So I don't know.
Let me just make these two.
No, I think it was perhaps meant to add some weight to the decision and some legitimacy.
Nobody.
Does the foreign minister need any weight to take action?
This is something that
he knew it was going to be a far-reaching. It was going to have far-reaching consequences, and so.
The point is that you would have done that consultation.
But you don't.
You may have gotten the blessing, but of course you never know what the aftermath would be.
Yeah.
And so you take responsibility. That is why you are the minister. You are in charge.
You take the
so you take exactly. So you take it. Yeah. But then this issue of going on Facebook and later issuing the statement on the letterhead of the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Why did he not go to Facebook to post the reopening of this, but now on the Foreign Affairs Ministry letterhead?
Honorable, there's a problem that I think we should. Look, whether we like it or not, social media has come to stay. Social media has become a platform for communication.
That's correct.
There are presidents who are on X.
That's correct.
Our own president is on X.
Yes.
Donald Trump is on X, and so on. So
Truth
you
social.
cannot fault a minister for using social media. However, some ministers ought to be a lot more discreet than others. You understand? I mean, for example, I expect the Minister of Interior to be far more discreet in the use of social media platforms than I would expect the Minister of
Water and Sanitation,
for example. You understand what I'm saying? So you cannot fault the foreign minister for using social media platforms. You cannot. But the advice that he needs to be a little more restrained, I think, is a good advice.
No,
but
I'm not
the ministry
against
itself
the usage
has a social media presence. So the ministry can announce some of these, you know.
So exactly my point.
Yes, and not necessarily Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa.
No, my point was
not a department in the ministry
that manages
Yes, exactly. So that was the angle I was coming from.
Yes.
So there are certain things you can post on the social media, which are day-to-day information. Passport is going to be issued in 24 hours, and all of those things. Those informations can go in there. But when you are talking about decisions of the ministry of such far-reaching consequences, so as you said, it's a matter of, and I've made this statement on your platform in some way, that when we put people in such leadership positions, we should be mindful to continue training them in those responsibilities. Because it is different being an opposition foreign in charge of a ranking member at Foreign Affairs Ministry and now being the Minister for Foreign Affairs. So there should be continuous players who are now taking these high offices so that these errors can be minimized going forward. And then lastly, the 15 people or so that have been recalled. I feel very, very sad about it when you have not established prima facie evidence against them And Quick is laughing at because Chief Justice is waiting for his prima facie decision.
Right.
So you've not established anything against all of them.
Yeah.
And you are recalling them and their families. I think that is too harsh and too hard. You know, and that is why at times you want to see our distinction of politicizing these things. It's as if you now have an opportunity to send people out and get some people whom you are interested in to send.
But these diplomats understand, even before they took up the job, that they could be reassigned any day.
No, we agree. But I'm saying that the angle, what is necessitating the reassignment, if you work for your number of years or your expertise is needed somewhere, and so you are being reassigned, that is understandable. That's what they signed up to. But when you are conducting an investigation into somebody's conduct, and then you bring all officials within that space and ask them to return subject to investigations, then I think that is hardlining. And I think
there's a little problem, that I've been struggling with.
Okay.
And that we are told that an investigation team is being sent to Washington to carry out the investigation.
Yes.
And I'm hearing now that the staff there who have the facts, which will be examined by the investigation team, is being asked to come to Accra. There's a problem there, isn't there?
Yeah.
So basically, who is going to be supporting this investigative team to do their work?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a problem there, but maybe it can be explained.
Because they have
I'm
to be
waiting.
there.
I'm waiting to listen
to furnish
to
you with the necessary information you need. In order
unless
to get
the
to the bottom of
investigations
this
are being conducted in Accra. But if the investigation
when I read the story, they said they're on their way to Washington.
Yes.
To conduct the investigation,
Yes.
way to Accra.
Yes.
That is incongruous.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. We need some explanation, some clarity on that. Otherwise, how are you going to conduct the investigations? Who's going to assist you?
One thing is clear for me.
Yes.
The foreign minister is a very articulate gentleman. You know that.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, nobody disputes that.
Speaks well.
He speaks well. Most of the time, he sees with his facts and so on.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that these matters will be explained as quickly as possible. In order for people to feel easy about what is happening.
Yeah.
No doubt, there's a problem in Washington. There's a problem in Washington. There's a big problem. The Ghanaian community in the United States is being shortchanged. Something is being done in the embassy which is illegal, which ultimately would affect Ghana's national interest and image and so on. Something needs to be done about it and so on. But we need to do it in such a way that it is neat.
Yeah.
So that's what we are asking for. I don't think that anybody is asking for more than that.
And then, again, the foreign affairs, the people who are at the helm of affairs at the Foreign Affairs Ministry would also have some explanations to do. I'm sure all of that will come up during the investigations because they ought to tell us, as Uncle Kwesi has said, did you know about this? What did you do about it? Anyway.
No, from the information we have,
there's something
officials at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs knew.
Yes.
Probably even including the previous minister.
Yes, before,
You understand?
The media
but they
part.
failed to take action. Somebody must be explaining why they failed to take action. Why the gentleman was left at post all this time.
Up to this time.
It's
untenable.
So for what it also means is that for a very long time, persons who were paying the visa fees that were being paid, and also for passport and so on, were they being overcharged?
It's not everybody.
It's not everybody?
It's not everybody.
How?
So his conduct, whatever he was doing, the illegality was not for all services, as in everybody that applied.
So it was just for passports?
No,
Or
even
for
the
visa?
passport, he creates his alternate link.
Yes.
So if you happen to fall in that link, then that is where you go through those.
No.
That those who applied online.
Yes, those who apply online.
Online, yes.
But then, if you and I live in Washington, D.C., and I apply for the same service, and I come and tell you I paid $50, and you come and tell me you paid $80.
But you don't know.
But it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
That we're friends, and we decided
Yes.
to sort of, apply for certain kinds of services. Yes. You decided to go online, and I wanted to go offline. Yes. And I noticed that I'd paid a certain amount of money, you pay it differently.
Yeah.
There's a conversation that it would definitely trigger.
Exactly.
What's happening? But my point even is that
the Ghanaians who have been shortchanged.
Yes,
how come
so many
they
years.
didn't also bring it or complain in some form?
Yeah, but that is why the Angelina lady was saying that.
There's a problem.
It had come to attention.
Because from all the reports you have read this morning, this matter came to the attention of embassy officials.
Yes, even ambassador,
Ministry of Foreign Affairs officials.
Yeah.
So somebody must have complained.
Yes.
People must have complained.
Yes.
The problem is that in the previous administration, the
action.
ministry failed to take action. They didn't take any action at all.
And the question is
and
why?
And that is why His Excellency Okudato Ablakwa now is being compelled to do it.
A forensic
Exactly. If it had been done before him, he wouldn't be saddled with this responsibility.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel Kids Toothpaste. Wow. I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel Kids, happy smile.
I'm a branch manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Chocolate Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Where to get polytan?
Oh, and you're fine.
Go straight.
Oh, I'm off left, right.
That's right. Ghana na yewono. So when you jomo and ye data. Who knows? Na here, Mr. Politan Kato. And you think I'm in your bed to be able to have you. Or food to be at enjoy your craft.
Akuya bulambo kotoman. Emua.
Like that, they took my eyes. Came to me and took go to the distributor and you give the original Politan Kapananka. You get a sound?
Politank, Papananka Sankasa.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
Buy affordable service plots and lands from estate masters. Currently selling our next cottage, located at the newly proposed airport city, with a starting price of 25,000 Ghana cedis. We also have Palm Hills, located at Panfukro in the Gomwa East District, also with a starting price of 15,000 Ghana cedis. Available also is Coastal Park in Akleku, which is a 15-minute drive from the Ningo Senior High School, having a starting price of 55,000 Ghana cedis. You will receive a free site plan with indenture once you successfully purchase a land from us. For any enquiries, contact the numbers provided. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
Food insecurity in West Africa isn't just a statistic. It's a crisis affecting millions, not because of a lack of land or talent, but because our food systems are struggling under the weight of conflict, climate change, and limited investment. On June 3rd, I have the honor of moderating the President's Roundtable 2025, hosted by the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, EBID. Under the theme Unlocking Food Security in West Africa Through Agricultural Transformation, we'll convene leaders, experts, and change makers for a strategic conversation, one that moves far beyond talk into action. From innovative financing to climate-smart agriculture, we'll spotlight real solutions and real commitments live on Metro TV. Now it's a defining moment for our region, so do join the conversation as well, live on DSTV Channel 277 and EBID's digital platforms. Let's move together from insecurity to food sovereignty. My name is Anita Erskine. It would be an honor to have you join us.
Okay, so you're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. With me here is Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper, and also Mr. Isaac Nyako, who is the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Ifia constituency. And we've had a good time so far. We've had a very, very interesting conversation about what's happening in Washington, D.C., where Ghana's embassy is, and some matters arising. But let's look at these other issues which has also been making the rounds. It's about this ECG containers which went missing, and now we're told that we found them. But the numbers apparently are even more than what we're told went missing. And that's if you put everything in total. So what exactly is happening. Now, if you look at the daily guide of today, it says the story, it's, okay. And let me look at that one here. Okay, good. So, Ernest Kofi Edu from Parliament House says the minority in Parliament is demanding answers from Energy Minister John Jinapor following new claims that Electricity Company of Ghana containers, that's ECG containers, previously reported as missing, were never lost. According to reports, the containers have been at the Tema Port all along. Member of Parliament MP for Kaikui Central, Patrick Yabuama, addressing the media in Parliament yesterday, called on the Minister of Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, to return to Parliament and set the record straight on the alleged disappearance of containers belonging to the Electricity Company of Ghana, insisting the containers were never missing but rather misplaced. Mr. Buama expressed deep concern over the reputational damage caused by initial claims that ECG containers had gone missing at the Tema Port, demanding for him to honorably apologize. According to him, investigations have shown that the containers in question were merely misplaced and later recovered, not stolen or missing, as earlier suggested by the minister. You have Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, a much respected institution having protected people's consignments over the years. Then suddenly we're told some ECG containers were missing. But from what I have gathered, the minister acted on an interim report, not a final one. These containers were simply misplaced, not missing. MP Buama further criticized the premature public disclosure by the Energy Minister, cautioning public officers to exercise restraint when dealing with sensitive matters. He noted that earlier claims suggested about 1,300 containers were unaccounted for, but subsequent information indicates over 2,600 containers have been recovered. So was it 1,300, 2,600, or 3,000? We need clarity, and that's why we'll ask the minister to return and give us the true position. The MP emphasized the need for accountability and integrity in public discourse, stating that the minister owes ECG staff, the public, and Parliament an apology. People's images were dented, reputations were put on the line. It's only honorable for the minister to come back and clarify things. Meanwhile, former managing director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Samuel Dubik Mahama, was yesterday invited to the National Security for questioning in connection with investigations in 2006-37 on accounted for containers consigned to ECG at the Tema Port. His caution statement was taken as part of the ongoing investigation, and this was confirmed by Richmond Roxon, the spokesperson and head of communications for the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. He further indicated that some ECG staff have been asked to step aside to facilitate an unfettered investigations into the mystery surrounding their unaccounted for containers at the Tema Port. The containers initially reported to be 1,003, but later found to be more, have accumulated significant demurrage costs. Ongwezi, what do you make of this story?
Well, these are very interesting developments. First of all, the impression, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, is created that we've lost about 1,300 and something containers.
Yes.
And then this is followed up by discoveries at some smelting, joints and so on. We find them in wayside fitting shops and so on. So the general impression is that these containers have been stolen. Then 2 days ago, news comes out that we've actually discovered double the number of containers we said were missing in the ports. We've actually now discovered more than 2,600 containers which are in the ports. So then, I've heard some say that it's an indication that the containers were not stolen, that they were not missing. I think there's still confusion about the number of containers we imported and how much was cleared. We need to settle the figures. We haven't settled the figures. Now, those containers which were found in workshops, and so on, the people who had them admitted that they did not import them and that they were sold to them by some agencies and so on. So they could very well be part, of the containers. They could be missing containers. I'm not saying that they are, but they could be missing containers. Okay, that's fine. Now, there's a substantial issue which is raised. How did the ECG keep its inventory? I mean, the administration in the ECG must be in shambles. Unbelievable. I mean, they import material and they don't even know the quantity they have imported. They don't know the quantity which has been cleared.
But Ogozi,
yes.
But the transition report, which John Jinapo received during the transition period, said 3,000. You don't think that should settle the matter? That's public record. 3,000. Except that he said, okay, even though it's 3,000, I want to go to the ground and confirm that myself. And then he got there and somebody told him. I don't know where exactly he went and who he spoke to, but somebody said, oh, it's not 3,000, it's 2,637. And I said, look, these are two different figures. I need to reconcile them. So he put up a 3-man investigative team, interim, to look into it. And then they came out and told him that, well, apparently, it's not even up to 2,637. And that is actually 1,000 something, 1,347.
Yeah.
And I said, so where are all these different figures coming from? So I need to investigate.
But that's the point I'm making.
Okay.
What system of inventory was kept?
Right.
Because that's reference to inventory.
Yeah.
Should be able to tell you
how
many are at the ports, how many have been cleared, how many of them are in the warehouses, and so on. A simple system of inventory taking. So all this confusion tells me that there's something fundamentally wrong with the administration of the ECG. You know, it may well be that nothing was stolen. May well be that nothing was missing. It may well be that this is just a manifestation of inefficiency.
Then obviously they were not missing. Oh, okay, they were missing, but they've been found.
How do you have confidence in the new figures?
That's a good question.
On what basis are you going to have confidence in the new figures when all the figures you had been given before turned out to be problematic? Yeah. So these new figures could also be problematic. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So I think the first thing to do is to improve efficiency at the Electricity Company of Ghana. Basic things. Get a proper inventory of all the assets, of the ECG, including containers and non-containers. Today we are discussing containers. Do you know what we are going to find if we start investigating vehicles? If we start investigating vehicles, do you know what we are going to find if they have this hopeless, useless system of inventory taking? So that whole company needs a certain cleanup. It needs to be more efficient than it is today. I've heard people calling for the head of the minister and so on. I wouldn't go that far. The minister himself could have become a victim of misinformation.
Yes.
Like all of us, the minister himself could have been a victim of misinformation. Let us properly establish.
And that's why he himself, if you listen to his commentary, he says, I've been told.
Yeah.
I've been told.
So let us establish the full facts. And on the basis of the full facts which are established by a competent team, not the team which was handling inventory at the company, a competent team, then we can proceed to make judgments. In the final analysis, what we are interested in is that the resources of Ghana should not be wasted. What we are interested in is that when we import things, we import them because they are needed.
Yeah.
And then when they arrive at the ports, they will be cleared and used for the purposes for which we imported them. You understand? For me, that's my concern.
Okay.
All
right. Honorable.
Muro.
Yes.
This issue of missing containers and missing stuff at the port, when I hear them, I marvel because if you have an understanding of how the port system works, it will be very, very, very difficult for you to understand how somebody will say that containers are missing. Because once the ship docks and you get the containers out, the containers would be under the care of the port, which is MPS. They are the people who receive them. And then after you have paid your duties or whatever, you take your containers away. If you don't pay your duties after some stipulated time, whether 21 days or 14 days, it goes to UCL, uncleared cargo list. And when it goes to uncleared cargo list, a decision is made as to where you go and deposit them, whether it's at this terminal, or this terminal. And so they are moved there. Before a container then gets cleared out of those terminals, the processes that you have to go through and the securities and the checks that happens, it is completely difficult for you to understand even one container to be declared missing from the port. So when I heard 1,000 containers are missing, 2,000 containers, I'm like, where did they get lost from? Are we living in a country where if they were kept at a flower border, that one you can go and sleep, and then maybe you wake up one morning and someone will carry one container away. But to talk about 1,000 containers, 500 containers in Ghana's port at Tema, then we are all at risk. The revenues of the state will be at risk. And so first and foremost, this issue of missing containers are just much ado about nothing and trying to blow hot air into the system. And I believe that if ministers are seized with information, we should be a bit careful in trying to get the right information before we put them out there. Because if he had done basic checks with either Customs Division or GPHA, they would have told him that if the containers had been no, but the bigger question is, where were the 2,600 containers hidden? Because to keep over 2,600 containers in different locations of our port, it's a big deal. So how come we had these containers locked up in different sections of our port, and nobody was able to trace and track them and give information to ECG and to the government that these are the containers imported by Electricity Company of Ghana and not cleared? The third point I want to make is that normally when containers are not cleared, government auctions them, either by selling them to people on open auction or what they do as allocation. So when some people buy those products, you find them in the market. And then, so it means that somebody would have bought them from auction. The person wouldn't have paid all the demorages because at auction, you pay them at the cost of the duty. And then you find them in the open market. ECG has brought this, and the truth be told, it is not just this government or the past government that had this difficulty of ECG bringing in hundreds and thousands of containers that are unaccounted for and that have not been cleared. It's been a perennial challenge at ECG. And my difficulty is how management of ECG is a big institution. And you give someone a contract to bring in these things on your behalf. You pay the person imports the product, and then you don't clear the product. And it becomes a white elephant. And the issue is that people would have had need of the products that you have imported. And so the government stance of trying to identify the containers are a step in the right direction. But we need to bring finality to this process whereby a proper audit should be conducted. Yeah. I'm not interested in investigation. But what is this whole investigative body? 3-man body, they come and give you some stories. 4-man body. We have the top 4 auditing firms. Fine, because this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Certain political decision and policy decisions have to be made with regards to how these containers are brought in by ECG and not cleared. And so we need to establish how many containers have been imported over some period of time. Yeah. If you want to do it at the time of the MPP from 2017, do the audit. Let's see how many containers were brought in, how many were cleared, how many were not cleared, why were they not cleared, where do we have them, do we still have need of them, how does government negotiate? Because at GRA, I've had the opportunity of seeing ECG come to GRA to negotiate and discuss ways in which they have to clear their uncleared cargo. And certain steps were taken to make sure that those containers were released to ECG, because other people would normally get them. There are certain product that comes, only ECG has need of them. So if ECG doesn't take it and you sell them to an auction, at auction, that person buying from auction will go and resell to ECG.
True.
So ECG pays for the importation.
And there's a whole industry around that.
Exactly. And not only that, even cocoa.
Yes.
Cocoa sacks.
Yeah. What we call it jute sacks.
Jute sacks. They are brought, not cleared, goes to auction. It is sold at the back door. Somebody takes them, goes and resell them to cocoa board. You know, so this country, we need to be very careful. You know, and these are the steps that I want leadership, not politics. We have overly politicized our mind. So the minister is not looking at how to fine-tune and get systems working. He's interested in throwing out who has stolen, has MPP done this, and is it the MPP, is it MPP, is it MPP? The moment you go chasing after politics, you lose the focus of establishing a sound institution, putting in place policies that can guide future behaviors within the organization. And so that has to be looked at. A proper audit has to be conducted, final audit reports reviewed, so that there is clarity and finality as to the numbers, get them cleared for ECG use, and make sure that this situation doesn't recur again, because it cost the nation.
Yeah.
People might have been paid for bringing these things into this country.
Right.
And yet, we have not. If you go to my constituency, we want meters. Meter has become something like cocaine. Yeah. Simple issue. If you build your house or you put in, I go and do polytank, drill borehole, and you want a meter to connect, and they tell you there are no meters.
Yeah.
And yet, you go and check, meters have been imported, and they have been sitting at the port for 7 years, for 10 years, and nobody cares. So it is important we look at these things and sanitize the situation. And this kind of thing is what I want current leadership to move away from political mischief.
All right.
And do the right thing, so that at the end of the day, we can get a better institution, get better systems in place, and get better service for the good people of this country.
I have personally requested that the Energy Minister makes the findings of the committee's work public, because we ought to know the people who are responsible for this.
I said forget about committee and let's do audit. What is this committee?
Well,
check the composition of those committees and their background and their experience.
No, I get it.
What
an
is this
internationally reputable organization.
Get a proper
must
audit.
do it, and let's yeah. But in the meantime, let's see what you have.
No, I think we can use local auditors.
Yes.
Yeah.
This so-called internationally recognizable auditors. It
It
actually doesn't mean much.
We don't trust our own people.
Yeah, but our own people are auditing the United Nations and United Nations agencies.
Well. So that one, all we need is an audit.
Yeah, all we need is a good audit.
A good audit to get us the findings.
I get it. So Niama Matefio, who's watching the show, he says that the new development regarding the ECG containers and the attempt to shift blame on the Honorable Jinapo is much ado about nothing. The minister simply echoed the findings of the committee's report. The figures he cited concerning the missing containers were part of the official report submitted to him. He's not in a position to independently verify the accuracy of claims made by the experts who compiled the report. In fact, it is the same minister who, following further investigations and review, has returned to provide an updated account to the public. The most critical question remains, who are the individuals responsible for stealing the equipment from the containers? And the days ahead will certainly be revealing. I'm not sure if the minister has said something has been stolen from the containers. I'm not aware. We've just been told
I'm
that,
also not aware.
Yes, we've just been told a certain quantity has been retrieved. But I'm only saying that the 3,000 which was contained in the auditor, you know, in the transition report, it should be for me our baseline. That's what we must have. We must have 3,000 containers, because definitely the same ECG that told us that there are 3,000 containers at the port
You know, we
cannot.
Yeah, there could actually be more.
Yeah,
because if your information suggests 1,003 and you are now 2,000,
so clearly there's a poor.
And actually, my information suggests that there are more containers at the port that have not been uncovered. That is yes. And then the minister went around, entered some companies and said, "We found one container here. Yeah. We found another container." Let's get serious, man.
You know, and Angusia, in as much as I agree with you that we need to, you know, clean up the inventory system at ECG. My gut tells me that people are not ready to have a proper system that takes inventory of these items that are imported because of people's personal, you know what I mean? People's personal.
Sack them.
Yeah, well.
You sack them.
Yeah, that's all.
I mean, when people who work in the public space, display this level of incompetence, you sack them.
Yeah.
You
and bring in competent people.
And bring in competent people.
That's all. All right.
So we are dealing with a very high level of incompetence.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have there's a train which is on the move. It's called the accountability train. It has been moving very fast. And it is taking a stop at the residence of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, Chairman Wontumi. He was invited. He didn't go. He was visited by the NIB to his residence. He went screaming and complaining that he was being harassed and so on. He was promised that security agencies were told that he would be, brought there. He went there on Monday or so, and there was an interaction with him, and then he came back yesterday. And after reporting yesterday, he was arrested again after the initial, interaction or engagement with the CID. He was arrested again by Yoko. And we're told that he's at the grips of the Yoko as we speak. But a few developments have come up. Now, it says that Yoko arrest Wontumi, again, still with the Daily Guide, and it says that the Jibril Abdul Razak says the Economic and Organized Crime Office yesterday arrested Ashanti Regional Chairman of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Bernard Njibwesiakun, widely known as Chairman Wontumi. The arrest happened moments after he exited the Criminal Investigation Department at the police headquarters in Accra, where he's facing interrogations for allegedly entering and mining in a forest reserve without authorization. It was not clear why he was arrested or the possible offenses for which officials of the anti-graft body whisked him away. Wontumi was in the company of lawyer Andy Apiakubi when officials of Yoko apprehended him without any, explanation. The arrest has drawn significant condemnation from the public, with some suggesting the action constitutes an abuse of power, considering the fact that Mr. Njibwesiakun is currently under investigation by the police and is cooperating with them. So Wontumi was at the CID headquarters yesterday for further investigations by the police as part of his bail conditions. The police on Monday, May 26, 2025, granted Chairman Wontumi a police inquiry bail to assist with ongoing investigations into allegations related to illegal mining activities. He arrived at the CID headquarters at midday, accompanied by a team of lawyers led by former Attorney General Godfrey Adame. The police later confirmed in a statement that Mr. Njibwesiakun cooperated fully with investigators, provided a statement, and was subsequently granted bail. Sources familiar with the interrogation disclosed that Chairman Wontumi denied all allegations leveled against him. He reportedly submitted his mining license for verification and maintaining that his operations are entirely legal and regulated. Spokesperson for the MPP in the Ashanti region, Paul Yando, who witnessed the arrest, said, "We were here with Chairman for the second day of his investigations with the CID officials. With less than 5 minutes after getting onto the premises from nowhere, Yoko officials grabbed Wontumi into their car and drove to the office for interrogation in a bizarre manner." The arrest further adds to growing concerns about the manner in which the state security agencies have conducted raids on opposition members since the NDC took power after winning the 2024 elections. There were masked security operatives made up of personnel from the National Intelligence Bureau, NIB, and the Ghana Police Service had earlier stormed Wontumi's home in what witnesses described as a Rambo-style operation, creating panic among residents and attracting large crowds, including MPP supporters. Now, meanwhile, the leadership of the MPP have condemned the Rambo-style arrest of Chairman Wontumi, who has fully cooperated with the law enforcement agency. So there's some of the chaps who were there. The names have been captured in that story. But closely related to this story is that of the Herald. Now, the Herald is telling us Chairman Wontumi is sick. And we're told in this story, let me just, it's here. We're told that the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, that's Bernard Njibwesiakun alias Chairman Wontumi, was hospitalized yesterday, Tuesday, 27 May 2025, after reportedly falling ill during an interrogation by the Economic and Organized Crime Office in Accra. The development was confirmed by his legal representative, Andy Appiah, a former member of parliament for Asante Akim North, who briefed journalists last night on his client's health status. However, he declined to reveal the name or location of the medical facility where his client was being treated. I know where he is, but I'm not going to disclose the hospital. All I can say is that my client has been taken to the hospital for medical treatment. So Wontumi has a history of ending up in hospital over such matters. In January last year, after weeks of being sought by the Misha police over remarks he made against Asante Inotumfo said to Wontumi was found in a hospital bed. In pictures he circulated depicting him as ill and on admission. Honorable.
Yes, I will take it from two angles.
Okay.
The first has to do with the way and manner people are invited for interrogation or investigation.
Okay.
And the conduct of state operatives in conducting or picking up suspects for investigation. You see, we've come very far as a country since 1992 to this time and age where we still want to use intimidation, Rambo-style approach just to invite people to police station. And these scenes are becoming one too many. And I think for reputational purposes as a country, it is very, very disheartening. Why? If you want to invite someone to come and be questioned, first and foremost, you give an open invitation. The person tells you, okay, if you want me to come tomorrow and I'm available, I will come. If I want to seek your leave and say, okay, please, can you make it 2 or 3 days' time? And you agree, I come. If I don't come and you want to come and arrest me, the process in coming to arrest is very clear. If you want to bring state operatives to come and arrest, you just come in a very refined, professional manner. What is this cars with armed men, 15, 20 armed men with some of them wearing masks? It's so appalling for a country like Ghana today. Why would you wear mask? I don't remember. It's military junta, coup regimes that you have people, security men, wearing mask. Why? In America and all of those people, when President Donald Trump and all of those people are being arrested, they go in their full identity. Why this Rambo? And look at what happened to this Adenta Kumi. Somebody has gone to petition, and you want to invite him for questioning, and you go to his house at 5 a.m. with armed men and pick. Why are we doing this to ourselves as a country? Why are we behaving as if we are in a coup regime? Why are we behaving as if people that we are calling upon to avail themselves for investigation, they have another paramilitary groups sitting there somewhere who are going to fight the state security and cause unnecessary panic and fear in the system? So my first point is that this thing must stop. This era where we are going in with people being invited or being arrested in this Rambo style, masked-faced and arms wielding, in our democratic dispensation should be checked. And I call on the Minister for Interior and National Security, Honorable Muntaka Mohammed, to please step in this because it is becoming one too many. Now, why is Wontumi being investigated? Well, if the state thinks he has done something that requires investigation, the state is entitled to invite him. He's been cautioned, he's written his statement, and so it has to be reviewed. And if the state thinks there is a case that he has to answer, you take him to court and prosecute him, simpliciter. So whether it is Wontumi you want or it is whoever you want to invite and prosecute, that is your cup of tea. I believe everybody should be answerable for his actions and inactions. Wontumi is an astute businessman. Everybody knows his business. He's been doing mining for years, not MPP time. He's been doing this mining business even when NDC had been in power. So it is no news. If you want to make allegations that he has entered into forest, bring your evidence. He said, I've not gone there, I have no business to do with mining in the forest area. But then, why are we interested in only Wontumi? Are we saying that for the entire country, it is only Wontumi who is doing that business? Go to Takwa, go to Bogosu Pristia. We have more mining campaigns who are destroying our reserves. But for political expediency, and I'm always saying, if we follow politics, this country will collapse. If you want to fight illegal mining, make sure everybody that is suspected to be in that business or trade to be invited and investigated. But when you single out political persons, like Chema Wontumi, like this other person, then it is more like a political mud hunting or witch hunting. And so you allow the political figures to go on that tangent. And the state will never be able to satisfy itself with whatever it wants to achieve.
Right.
So please, let's get it straight. Wontumi has availed himself. And this issue where you are at NIB or police and then Yoko comes to pick you up. What is this? If the man has not run away from this country, he availed himself for NIB investigation, interrogation. If Yoko wants him, why don't you invite him? Moro, if Yoko wants him, why would you drive to NIB and forcefully come and take him to, we causing unnecessary, we are all human. The person may have business interests, may have foreigners that he's doing business with. He would have his health. You don't know his health situation. That is why today they are saying that he's hospitalized. Somebody will say somewhere and think that, he's faking. But people have health issues. When they arrested Adenta Kumi, their wife got miscarried.
No,
that is the information we are told.
No, it's not been confirmed.
No, but that is what we were told.
Yes.
But it is possible.
For now, we treat it as a mere rumor.
Yeah, no rumor. It's an information that I have not verified, though. But the point I'm making is that the actions of our security apparatus create unnecessary panic. Because if the woman got miscarried, when is she going to take seed again? Because somebody takes years to take a seed.
You are proceeding on the assumption that the report is true.
So, please, the health of Wontumi and these operatives, I think the state should be guided.
Okay.
Please invite people. And my advice to everybody, nobody is above the law. So when you are invited, let's make ourselves available. Go through the military regime. We have the courts.
I'm told in the case of Wontumi for 2 weeks, I can't independently confirm. I'm told for 2 weeks he kept playing games with the NIB, kept telling them I'll report today, I'll report tomorrow, I have something, so they got frustrated at some point.
That is fine. Yeah. So go, if you want to arrest him, as I say, you can always go and arrest. But the modus operandi,
is where you have
the scenes, it's as if we are arresting some criminal gangs, cocaine, criminal gangs with arms, and that's
it's needless. It's needless.
Yeah, it's needless. That scene is completely needless.
Well, he's talking about the number of people who are going to Chema Wontumi's house to arrest just one person. You have more than 20. That's where he's coming from.
Kwesi, take over.
Well, you see, yesterday, there were two comments which were most interesting.
Okay.
And the first comment was from Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe.
Yes.
Extremely interesting comment. Now, this was the running mate of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yesterday, I heard him say that, look, when you start taking contracts from government, when you start making money out of government and so on, you should know that there will be a day of reckoning.
Yes, I've seen that video.
And when that time comes, you should be able to go and answer questions and stop the drama. Cooperate. This is Napo.
Yeah.
He made that statement yesterday, apparently. In direct answer to a question about the arrest of Chairman Wontumi. Then there's an Ashanti regional officer, one of the officers of the party, who also spoke. And he said, what? But NPP, we said we were going to fight Galamsey. Okay? Now, if Wontumi's arrest is about Galamsey, why are we complaining? And that we should have arrested him ourselves and turned him over. This is an NPP man. Two very interesting comments. And the meaning of those comments are there. It can't mean anything else but what they mean. You understand? Very interesting. Now, we're talking about Rambo-style arrest and so on. Chairman Wontumi is the regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party, which claims that its stronghold is Ashanti Kumasi. Now, if you're going to arrest Chairman Wontumi in Kumasi, you are going with an armed man. Does it make sense? Would you arrest him with two people? Would it make sense to do that? So those who are talking about this Rambo style and so on, they should examine the issues well. You understand? Now, if what you are saying is right, it's even the more reason why the team arresting him will be reinforced. I didn't know. You are saying this morning
for 2 weeks.
That it appears that for 2 weeks they've been trying to get him to hand himself in for questioning.
I heard that from Abbas Nuruddin, who's the
He gave reasons why they should give him some time.
Yes.
Because he said he would be attending some medical and all of those
Master,
things.
it's not at your pleasure. If you are suspected of a crime, your arrest is not at your pleasure. The arresting agency may extend some courtesies to you and so on.
Definitely.
But 2 weeks, Abba, Master.
Oh, they say never kill. I feel now the Abba.
Master, 2 weeks. Why? You know, look, I think that anybody who will be arrested, all arrests must be according to law.
Right.
Those who are being arrested must have their legal rights. They must enjoy their full legal rights. And these things should not be done arbitrarily in order to achieve a political end. But to create the impression that as for some people, they can never be arrested.
No, that impression
That's
has never
a
been
big
created.
problem.
Yeah. That impression has never been created.
It has been created.
No.
Master, I heard your director of communications,
yes,
Mr. Ahiagba, is it the name?
Richard
Ahiagba, on TV3, saying that the government has to realize that even though they lost the elections, they have numbers.
Okay.
Listen to him very carefully. Even though they lost the elections, they have numbers. And that they cannot be taken for granted. And whether the government is right or not, they can deploy their numbers.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Oh, but you know,
what does that mean? I mean,
my senior.
Yes, sir.
You know, these are statements attributed to Richard. I'm not going.
I heard him
exactly. So
I heard him on
TV3. But do you think and believe, from the benefit of hindsight, that statement is something that NPP as a political party have done or shown by massing our people to go and resist arrest of our people?
Master,
you know, it's condemnable if he said that it is wrong. We can tell him, don't make that statement.
Of communication.
Yes.
Saying whether the government is right or wrong.
Right.
Right or wrong.
Was it during the heat of a demonstration or something?
No.
It was those demonstrations.
He was
people make statements
by TV3. Okay. I saw it.
Okay. I'll verify.
Verify.
I'll verify.
Ask him,
because Richard is a fine.
He's an honest man. I don't think that he's going to deny.
I'll find out. He's a fine gentleman.
To say that whether the government is right or wrong, we can deploy our numbers. What does that mean? And you see, you expect the state to be decorous when they are arresting people And I feel sad commenting about the arrest of Wontumi. So Wontumi is a very close friend of mine.
Really?
Yes. Long before he got into politics.
Oh, okay.
Long before Wontumi got into politics, he was a very close friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
Of course, when he became a politician, he just cut me off completely. I don't care, you understand. But he's been a friend of mine for a very long time.
Okay.
So sometimes when we come and sit here, we are making comments. That's the difficulty we face. This morning I've had to comment about Okudatu Ablakwa, who is a very good friend of mine, and so on. You know. So that's my difficulty, and I suppose it's everybody's difficulty. Okay. But you see, when the people who, for some reason, are being invited for questioning and so on, are asking to be treated with respect and so on, it is all right. But they must also learn to treat others with respect.
Avail yourself.
You understand? Now, some of the comments that some of your leaders make about the president, I think are clearly unacceptable. You understand? Yeah, Wontumi has been arrested.
Okay.
If the arrest is unlawful, say that it's unlawful, and so on. Yes, that Mahama, I'm warning him, and so on. What does that mean? I mean, it's clearly unacceptable. Yeah. Clearly unacceptable.
Okay.
Let us, all of us, be decorous. Let us, all of us, work within the law. I mean, last night, around 11 o'clock, I saw videos of people attempting to set Yoko on fire. Where is that coming from? And that is in the presence of leaders of your party.
Oh, really?
Yes. You didn't see those videos?
I've not seen any video.
Fire! You understand?
In fact, I'm told that's why he's been moved away from Yoko to another undisclosed.
Why would you do that?
But you see, Kwesi, it's not about MPP. We've been in this country where people had issues with the Electoral Commission. NDC thugs went to EC, wanted to set EC on fire. So let's condemn.
Is it correct?
No, exactly my point.
But
so
when that
let's condemn.
So if this has happened and we are condemning,
so let's condemn. I'm not saying that it is not.
What you are condemning.
I'm not saying that it is only.
Why?
But it's bad.
So let me do this quickly. Our time is up.
Something happened some time ago.
Yes.
We condemned it.
Yes.
Something new is happening.
Yes.
Don't condemn this alone. Go and condemn what has happened in the past. You have already condemned.
We'll go past that.
What is that?
Robert, I think it's wrong. I'll follow up again on what you've said.
Yeah.
And I think we as a political party should send a signal to our followers.
All right.
That you see, this is nothing new.
Okay.
We have prosecuted people under during our regime.
Right.
We've arrested people before.
Okay.
And arrest means
actually
nothing.
arrested somebody in church
So
before. Somebody kneeling before the altar went and picked him up.
Time is up.
But that's what they could find.
Good morning, my brother. I have lived in
Now
this
look
belief.
at what happened to Tumbuafo. Look at what happened to Tumbuafo.
He said, good morning, my brother. I have lived in disbelief since December 7, 2024, until I saw the CD rise to the dollar as commanded by Ato Forcing. I have lived in disbelief since December 7, 2024, until yesterday when I saw Chairman Wontumi grant interview after interrogation by the police CID. What happened to the display of opulence on TV with gold bars? Priding himself as governor of Kumasi, etc., have all changed to talking undertone. Power is indeed transient, a lesson to all Ghanaians, especially the NDC members. Well done, President Mahama. Change has indeed come to Ghana. And he continues to say that today, Ogwezi has spoken my mind. You need a battalion to arrest Chairman Wontumi in Kumasi. The security agencies could easily have been overpowered by his supporters. Let me do this quickly. Now, happy birthday. It's coming from Kiki, our own Kiki here at Metro. Happy birthday, Nana Nyam. I hope I got the pronunciation correctly. We wish you a blessed happy birthday and long life. May the lines continue to fall in pleasant places from your daughter, Love Ohenewa. Love Ohenewa. Happy birthday, Nana Nyam. We wish you a blessed happy birthday. And then finally, if I don't do this, then finally, this one here is from Eben Ikwabenya says that so soon the MV fanatics are complaining of intimidation by the current administration. So who should be accounted for their deeds? Who should account for their deeds, if I may ask? They better keep quiet before it's too late. Regards to Haja Hawa of GRA and Custom Office Aaron in Wa. And finally, Derek, I need to do this just 30 seconds. This This one here says that it is very surprising that no one is talking about the recent happening in Ghana. Now the 24 hours economy policy of the NDC Mahama government has now turned into 24-hour persecution and intimidation of the NPP members. No one talks about 24-hour economy nor free academy user fees for first-year students. No one talks about Ordum. No one talks about Ordum or the Galamsey promises made by the second-hand President Mahama and his NDC government. We, the NPP, are not saying none of our party executives or officials should not be probed when they go against the state, but due legal process must be followed. Or was it not the same NDC Mahama government who cleared all formal NDC appointees facing prosecution the first 90 days? So what have we changed? Free Wontumi and let the law take its course. Abdul Rahman Baku in Old Barrier. Thanks for watching Good Morning Ghana. I want to say a big thanks to Honorable Isaac. Okay.
One of my very good friends in Efia, Eriko Husu.
Okay.
A very